Here we go. In this video, I'm going to take you through the journey that my wife and I took in paying off $97,000 of debt. And I'm going to tell you how we did it and how it changed us permanently and how there were just so many positive side effects of becoming the odd millennials who decided instead of living with our debts to get rid of them for good. And before I get into it, do me a favor, like and subscribe to this channel. I'm using that message, I'm using that story of ours to share with people some inspiration and motivation and what's working for us and what I think maybe would work for you as well. So I've been through it and I want to help you as much as I can. And at the moment, that's me sharing my story. So let's get started. What we actually started with was a whopping $155,389.80. Of that, $11,306 was on my beloved 2013 Nissan Frontier SV package. We had about $340 on an iPhone, and the rest, $143,743.80 on student loans. But who's counting?
I'm just gonna have these student loans for the rest of my life. That's just normal. That's what it felt like. We'll just die with these loans.
All of this was costing us at the time $1,055.25 a month. That was just the minimums. At the time, our two full-time jobs were bringing in about $112,000, which is higher than the median in our age group, but was no justification for the amount of loans we had to pay off. If you're doing the math in your head and thinking something's not adding up, the reason we only ended up paying about $80,000 of student loans was because a huge chunk of them were in my mother-in-law's name and she qualified for disability loan forgiveness, which I'll go into in another video. That was a process in and of itself. But the rest, that was us. So that's the lay of the land. That's what we were working with. At first, we were spending all of our extra money traveling, vacationing, eating out, going out with friends, things like that. I, like many of my millennial brothers and sisters, just kept saying and thinking to myself, one day the system might have to correct itself and these loans will be forgiven and we won't have to worry about it. We had to get real. We were still waiting for loan forgiveness. That was 2 years ago we started, so we'd still be waiting. We'd still be paying minimums. And when you're trying to build wealth, time is of the essence. Time is the greatest asset in your corner next to your income. So we had to have a moment where we said, enough. No more worrying about money. No more financial hangovers after the holidays, after vacations. We had to live like no one was gonna save us but us. Taking on the mindset that financially you're the only one who cares about you really helps change how you look at it. Kind of lights a fire under you. And again, until that happens, you're losing time. You're losing time to build wealth, to save for a house, save for a car, save for an early retirement. So after we came to the conclusion that no one else was going to help us but us, we had to figure out what the hell was going on with our money. What this involved was lining up our debts and starting to budget. You need to budget if you want to have any sort of roadmap towards whatever your financial goal is. We're able to see we were hemorrhaging money on entertainment. So it was only after we started our first budget that we were able to kind of put together a plan. And some research led me to Dave Ramsey's financial principles. So after I read Dave's book, Total Money Makeover, I was ready for action. I was fired up and I said, yeah, let's get it. Let's get after this. Here's the problem. I read the book, then I came home and I said to my wife, who had no idea what I was talking about, this is how we're going to live our lives now. It did not go well.
Oh, it took me a minute to be like, yeah, we're gonna do this.
So if you're going to get out of debt and you want to do so with your spouse, I would highly suggest that you really ease into that conversation. This is so important because you can't do it without your significant other along for the ride with you, because then it's just going to be constantly fighting, constantly pulling in opposite directions. That was my fault. I
being brass is like your number one
being
superpower.
Brass? Wait, being brass?
Brash.
Being brass? Like the instruments?
No.
Like the family of instruments?
This is gonna be...
I apologize for being so brass. So after we got on the same page and we sorted through some issues, we made some mutual goals, and that led to some mutual sacrifices.
I mean, we said no to some things, for sure.
We said no to a lot of things.
We did have to change our going out habits.
There
Be
were-
there like at home sitting, eating our ramen, just like looking at people's social media.
So as I mentioned before, we were making about $112,000 a year between our two jobs, and I ran out a kind of a timetable. I ran out the math on how long it would take us to pay off the loans. It was not good. So after having our souls completely crushed, we said, all right, well, what are we gonna do? We have to bump up our income. First I started with Uber, and then I switched to Instacart, which I loved. I loved shopping for Instacart. And my wife worked overtime like mad, and I could not be more grateful that she did. How much do you think you were working when you finally got into it?
There was a time where I was working like 55 hours. A period of time where we saw each other for maybe like 2 hours
Oh
and
my
then
God.
went to bed.
We were newlyweds, and that was kind of one of the worst things about it was we barely got to see each other.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Or was that?
And look, all that was good, and it helped. But it wasn't the big shot of energy we needed to really speed things up. And that's where this gets controversial. As per the Ramsey program, we drained our savings. At the time, Jen came into the marriage with something like, I think it was about $20,000 that she had saved up, basically by living with her parents and letting me pay for all the dates. So Dave suggests bring your savings, if you have any money there, down to $1,000 and use that as your emergency fund. So we did. And also in addition to that, we had a combined roughly $32,000 that was saved up in mutual funds that we had since we were younger. And guess what we did with it? Right at the height of one of the biggest stock market periods of gain ever, we sold it all. Yeah, it was performing way better than the interest rates on the loans, but that's not the point. Also, we stopped contributing to our 401ks. And yes, we gave up that sweet free money, that company match. Oh, this is going to be where a lot of you are yelling at your phones or your screens that I'm an idiot. But I'm a debt-free idiot, so. I think it was when we sold off our savings, our investments.
Yeah.
I think that's when it was like,
There was no
game
turning
on.
back
Yeah,
after that.
There was no turning back. And no, I don't regret any of it. We only stopped investing in our 401ks for like 5-6 months. That's more of a short-term thing if you're really dedicated to getting out of debt, which we were. And this is not a one-size-fits-all in terms of how long it's going to take. If you really got on this, maybe you could pay off all your debt in a month. Maybe it would take you several months. Maybe it would take you 2 years. Chances are on a really restrained lifestyle, sometime around 3 or 4 months, you're going to really speed things up, which is exactly what we did. And it was scary. It was so scary, but it worked. Now, if you are thinking of doing this, you need to know something right up front. It is not fun. It is not easy. But look, like anything worth doing in life, I think it being difficult is part of the whole package. And it changed everything. That is not an exaggeration. Now we can breathe about money, that we have an emergency fund, we're not always worried about it. And oh yeah, we're gonna be wealthy one day, and that's wonderful. That we get to do that for ourselves and our community and our family. And that's only possible because we can now afford that 15% towards future us because we freed up $1,000 a month that we were giving to strangers. But yeah, not easy. It was a tough 10 months. I almost broke down at the Aldi's produce section. I actually almost started crying. We were fighting a lot. It was a bummer.
There were times where we really weren't seeing each other that much. So I'd be like, oh, I really miss you. I wish that we could do this together.
Just do yourself a favor. Surround yourself with positive messages. And look, don't forget what Nietzsche said. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. So find your why and then get to work on your how. So if you're thinking of paying off your loans, you can do it. If you want to wait for someone to pay your loans off for you, by all means, that's your choice. But I would seriously suggest you think twice. You don't know if that's going to happen. You don't know what the stipulations are going to be. And if we could have done it, the big party animals, the big social butterflies that we were, you could do it too. Like I said, it is not easy. It just comes down to what are you willing to sacrifice to make it happen. The night that we paid off our loans, the last one, we couldn't believe it. And we got Chinese to celebrate. And to this day, the fortune still, it's amazing. All of your hard work will soon be paid off. I mean, how perfect is that? The night we paid off the loans. So hey guys, thank you for checking out my video. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, like it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it on social media. And if you're feeling like paying off your debt, get out there and make some power moves. I have all the faith in the world in you. Good luck. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you next time.